Caleb was at a shooting range, firing round after round at the targets. Mira cautiously entered, her footsteps barely audible against the sound of gunfire. "Caleb," Mira called, tentatively. Caleb pushed mid-shot, turning to face Mira with a cold glare. "What are you doing here?" he asked. I just want to check on you," Mira replied. "Check on me? Don't waste your time. I don't need your pity." Caleb scoffed. "It's not pity, Caleb. I care about you," Mira said. "Care about me? You think you can just walk in here and act like everything is okay? You think your kindness means anything to me?" Caleb asked. I was just trying to help," Mira said, taken aback. "Help? You want to help? Then leave me alone. Stop pretending like you give a damn about me," Caleb shouted, advancing towards her. "I do care about you, Caleb. I know you are going through a tough time, and I want to be there for you," Mira said, fighting back tears. "You want to be there for me? You want to know what I need? I need you to stop pretending like you care. I need you to leave me the hell alone," Caleb yelled. Mira hesitated for a moment, then turned and quickly exited the shooting range, leaving Caleb alone with his thoughts and his rage. I reckoned I ought to call it quits. I can't quite figure out when. It has almost been a month. I will give him my love, even if I don't want it in return. What I truly desire is to bring him back, to become the Caleb Mr. Patrick desires. Elder Patrick always rings up from time to time, checking in on progress. He is not showing signs of improvement, but I will endeavor to influence his life with my affection," Mira narrated. Mira sat inside, writing in her diary, slipping another picture inside. It was Caleb at a shooting range. She stealthily entered his room, where a cold aura hung. She observed his parents' pictures plastered on the walls amid alcohol, cigarettes, knives, virus syringes, and peculiar medicines. Packing everything away and hiding it, she discovered a list. Caleb had listed shooting rifles with daddy, planting flowers with mommy, working on the farm, watching stars till dawn. She hastily hid the list as she heard his approach. Mr. Felix stood by with a rifle, opening the door as Ayo entered. "Good evening, Mr. Man," Ayo greeted, extending his hand. "I have brought some cookies for Mira. Could you fetch my wife? She is my third wife," he joked. But it faded upon seeing Mr. Felix's stern expression. "Apologies. Perhaps I have walked into the wrong house," he muttered, confused, attempting to leave. But Mr. Felix grabbed him back. "Who is your wife?" Felix asked angrily, gripping Ayo by the neck. "Mira," Ayo struggled to breathe. Mira rushed out. It's fortunate I emerged unscathed. Ayo's loose tongue could have spilled trouble for him. Even though I will need to explain exhaustively. He seems convinced I have been married before, Mira narrated. Mira sat with her pale skin, looking contemplative. With Ayo's experience, everyone knows now, including Mom. I was bombarded with questions about my choice, but I hesitated. I love him because I think I can feel the love I don't feel for Felix. I think about him at night. Sometimes waking up in the middle of the night to pray for him. I see the man I want. Even if he doesn't return my love. I want him to feel parental love and return to being a normal person, free from depression, emotional instability, and anger issues, Mira narrated. Mira joined Mr. Caleb on the veranda, watching the city skyline. When I was young, I watched the city skyline with my dad, Mira explained. He looked at her with cold eyes. My father was a genius. He said that in 1,000 of years to come, there will be no trees, only giant houses, skyscrapers everywhere. He had told me to close my eyes and imagine, Mira said. Mr. Caleb closed his eyes and smiled briefly. Did you just smile? She asked. He hardened again and tried to leave. My father was perfect at the shooting range. No one could beat him, Mira said. Mr. Caleb seemed interested. His friends would come to practice with him. He was fast and reliable. She continued. Do you know how to shoot? Mr. Caleb asked coldly. I will try if you can teach me. I am a good student, Mira replied. Come, Mr. Caleb commanded. She was excited and surprised. Mr. Caleb was impressed with how fast she learned. They became close as teacher and student. It was strange to see Mr. Caleb smile today. My father liked a massage after the shooting range. How did you feel? Mira asked. He remained silent. What about we do fun things like today? Maybe something new. I know you enjoyed today, and so did I. What if I request one thing and you do it? It's a game, she suggested. No, Mr. Caleb replied. What if everyone makes a request and I give you a good massage? Please, she pleaded childishly, tickling him. He finally smiled. Yes, this is a yes. I am happy, she said. Though I am taking advantage of him. I want to use him to fulfill all my wishes. I'd like to do with my lover and add his to mine. His wishes includes shooting rifles with daddy, planting flowers with mommy, working on the farm, watching stars till dawn. One is fulfilled. My wish is to have dinner with my love, paint and draw together, visit my father's grave with someone I love dearly, and watch the sunset and rise with my love. Do you think my list is quite experienced? Watching city skyline is not quite good, but it's what I want. Bola is having her surgery next week. It's sad I won't be able to be there because of the contract policy, Mira narrated. Bola was about to have surgery, waiting for someone. Without Mira, she wouldn't proceed with the surgery as requested. Mr. Caleb was cleaning his rifle as Mira approached. "Do you want to try with me today?" he asked without looking up. "When I was young, I wished to be a soldier or a lawyer. I wanted to fight for innocent people, protecting them. But when my father died, everything changed," Mira said. Mr. Caleb was impressed and smiled. "You always mention your father's attributes. I think he was amazing. I wish I had known him. Maybe we could have been friends." Mr. Caleb said, "Maybe we can visit his grave together. It's one of my wishes to do with someone I love dearly," Mira suggested. "Why do you choose to love me? I can't love you back. I will scatter your heart into pieces." "When did you start loving me?" Mr. Caleb asked. "The moment we met in the hospital, I felt drawn to you," Mira replied, resting on his shoulder. Caleb reacted like it was the first time, but let her. "I wish to be in your arms forever, even if you don't love me back," she added. "Why don't you want love back?" Mr. Caleb asked. "I have enough people who love me, my family, friends, and all the kids in my orphanage," Mira replied. "Today is Bola's surgery," she said, looking at her phone and seeing a lot of messages and missed calls. "Bola is someone who I cannot afford to lose. She's a genius, gifted and talented," she added. "You own an orphanage?" Mr. Caleb asked. "That's the least I could do to grant my father's wish." "Caleb, I need to go. She won't let anyone touch her until I arrive," Mira said. "According to our agreement, you have 1 month more," Mr. Caleb said, pretending to be cold. Mira watched for a few seconds, feeling his stare, before she argued. "I am going with you," she said, noticing another stare. "What?" Mr. Caleb asked. "I love your style of acceptance," Mira said. "Acceptance of what?" Mr. Caleb asked, rushing. Mr. Caleb drove her to the hospital. Coco and Becky were there with Mama Fluffy, waiting for her. Immediately they saw her, kisses and hugs filled the moment. It was emotional as Caleb observed the love they shared. Mira talked to the child, assuring her, promising and telling her sweet words. Immediately, she went into surgery. Mr. Caleb watched everyone praying impatiently. He seemed to be learning what love and family friendship were until the doctors came out with glorious news. Hugs ensued. He was not excluded, but couldn't help but smile in public for the first time in a long while. "I thought I had been improving in bringing the real Caleb back from drunkenness, thuggery, and aggression. He is learning that family isn't just your biological parents, but can be friends and anyone you love, respect, trust, and look after. However, he is not changing completely. Sometimes he still gets drunk and aggressive, spoiling everything, screaming at me, calling me names. I don't need his love, but to bring him out of the condition he is in. If life goes on as I hope, many dreams will be fulfilled in a day," Mira narrated. Mr. Caleb was watching his mother's garden, smoking. "I heard it was once inviting and lovely," Mira said, appearing and pouring him a drink. "Mom would be happy if we brought it back to its former glory," she added. He looked at her with a "really" expression. "I know you will love it too," Mira said, holding his hand. He watched her timid hand. It was fun walking in the garden. Mr. Orishe helped us bring more plants and fertilizer. We played with the soil like kids, running around and replanting until we succeeded. It was extremely fun, Mira narrated. This is so fun. It's been a long time since I've had this much fun. Only with Mom and Dad, Mr. Caleb said, smiling, but lying on a dry grass, looking at her. We can make more memories together and make it fun, Mira said, looking at him. It was romantic as he drew closer to her. Don't look at me like that, he said, sitting up. I wish to visit your orphanage, he added. It's part of my list. It will be fun to have dinner together there with our family and friends. You will see how great it feels. Unity, love is beautiful, Mira replied. Love is beautiful, Mr. Caleb asked. Her diary was open to another chapter, a pen rolling down slowly to one side of the book. I think it's not important to feel loved, but to share love and believe in it. Love is a weapon that can only be wielded by those who wish to, Mira narrated. Mr. Caleb drove in and Mira exited. He stopped in his tracks, becoming tense. Why? Mira asked. I think I'm going back, Mr. Caleb replied coldly. If you want to, no problem with that, Mira said gently. I feel guilty. I don't think I should be near kids. I am a monster. Kids are fragile and timid. I might hurt them. I don't know, Mr. Caleb admitted. Mira held him and hugged him. Look at me. You are not a monster. You have to believe that belief is a powerful weapon that can change centuries of history. Believe. Calm down. Don't feel guilty. Feel free like a bird in the sky. She took a deep breath. It seemed to be working. Just then, one of the kids came out and called all the others. They rushed to them, hugging them. Mr. Caleb felt amazed. The caregivers were surprised by their visitor, but Mira assured them. One of the kids started crying. Mr. Caleb didn't know how to stop him, but followed Mira's instructions. It was fun watching them as Mr. Caleb played with the kids on the playground. It was lively to see him like this. Your boyfriend is happy. It seems he likes kids. Why don't you have one of your own? Mama Joy asked. Mira brushed and stopped her. Everyone, including Elder Patrick, Mr. Orise, Mrs. James, caregivers, and some kids were present for dinner. It was lovely and fun. Mr. Orise and Patrick were happy to see Caleb smile. Everyone talked and discussed life experiences, expectation, and the future. It was fun and filled with love to eat, sit, and see each other as one. Love is important in family. Anyone can be your family if love is promoted. It brings respect, harmony, and unity. Finally, I fulfilled one of my wishes and two of his, Mira narrated. They lay down, Mira in his arms, under the starry night. Kids are beautiful, Mr. Caleb said. Would you like to have one? Mira asked, looking into his eyes. It was romantic, tense, and emotional as they drew closer and kissed passionately. They kissed until they struggled for breath. Mira quickly took her medication. The sky is beautiful, Mira said. The sky makes it more mesmerizing. They make you wonder what lies beyond. Nature is beautiful, Mr. Caleb replied. I know you had loved to watch the moon, Mira said. I know you have my list. That's the list I crafted when I was young, when I couldn't believe my parents are gone, crying and calling them to fulfill my wishes. Mr. Caleb said, I am willing to fulfill the wishes with you, Mira said, smiling. I know you are the one who kept all my drugs and other things, but I didn't ask for them because they helped me stay free from addiction and control my anger, except for the drinking part. Mr. Caleb said sadly, we can stop that too, little by little. Only if you can let your pain go and focus on what is coming. Mira reassured. Thank you for being there for me, Mr. Caleb said, smiling. That's my mom and dad, he said, pointing to the stars. That's Dad, Mira said, shouting. Dad, can you hear me? Mira loves you, she shouted. They started making noise, but it was fun. Honestly, sometimes we should just let go of the pain and focus on new things. Obstacles are just steps ahead, telling you that you are climbing to another height. Just keep moving because the earth never stops rotating, Mira narrated. The scene opened with Mira, Elder Patrick, and Mr. Orishe chatting. It was lively and lovely. Mira had brought nothing but love and unity, sacrificing her own love for this family without knowing their roots. Mr. Caleb was towering himself. Do you like the room decorations? I did them myself, Mira asked. It's beautiful like you, Mr. Caleb replied, facing her. She couldn't help but swallow and admire his perfect body. Oh, sorry, he said, covering up. I like it. She smiled. What? Mr. Caleb asked, blushing. Stop flirting, he said. Mira suddenly pretended to be sad. What's wrong? Mr. Caleb asked. Sometimes I think about the future. Elder Patrick is getting old, and your family business might decline once he is gone, Mira said. Mr. Caleb seemed uninterested.